The Trump administration was hit with sharp criticisms and protests over the weekend. Now, this was for an announcement of increased deportation raids. Though one fact has been left out of the discussion from most media sources. I'd like to actually point out that these raids are not meant to target just random migrants in the country. They are targeting migrants who have gone through the judicial process and were denied their request to stay in the U.S., consequently ordered to be deported by a judge. So how did the deportation operation take hold? Well, I'm joined by immigration attorney Saman Nasseri to discuss this further. Wow, this has been an interesting weekend, something that we were actually being warned about 2 weeks ago, that Congress had to work together on a package. They obviously did not. So I have to ask today, who is being deported and where are they getting the information for ICE to go in on some of these raids?
Right. So the people that are being deported right now or targeted in these raids are, like you said, they're people that have prior orders of deportation against them, or they're people that have extensive criminal history that have been on ICE's radar for some time.
Well, and that's the question. So what is wrong with that? If these are people who've actually gone through the U.S. justice system, why is it wrong to carry out the orders on those who've already gone through it and already knew what their fate was here in the U.S.?
And that's the issue. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, because that's been happening for decades. There's nothing new about this process or about these raids. They're just being publicized and spun a little bit differently so that people can get a little more angry about them. But the truth is, they're not anything new. These raids have been happening for years. And after what happens at the end of an immigration case, thousands of people get ordered deported. They obviously don't leave. ICE gets a stack of fugitives, and then they go carry out their, once every other month, they go carry this out and go gather people up and deport them.
Well, and that's interesting, Simon, that you pointed that out, because that's actually a good point that a lot of people are mentioning. These have been going on for a while. Why now? Why do you think the timing of the spotlight being put on this, as if this is just something that's new? I mean, you've got media outlets camped out in front of ICE headquarters, and they're not getting anything on film, which should not be surprising, because as you point out, this is just another Monday in this process that's been going on.
Absolutely. I think the reason why now is to put pressure on Congress to try to get something done. You heard President Trump this morning make an announcement about trying to curtail a little bit of the asylum laws and a little bit of the regulations there to get people, to get them moving faster through the process. I think the big problem here is trying to fix the immigration system. And I think because President Trump has made that part of his goal during his presidency, he wants to set out and get that done. He's putting pressure on Congress that, hey, get something done or these raids are going to keep happening. And for the lay person that doesn't know about immigration law, they see these raids happening. They're not realizing they're happening all the time.
Well, it's interesting you bring up Congress, and this is all about motivating the swamp to actually move, which could take, an act of Congress or God to actually happen. I want to play for you a thought that happened last week, towards the end of the week, between Representative Alexander Cortez and the former ICE director.
Seeking asylum is legal.
If you want to seek asylum, you go through the port of entry, do it the legal way. The Attorney General of the United States has made that clear.
Okay.
When it did make it clear. So this new law, that was just put into effect today, was a new law saying that people who migrated through another country would not be able to be granted asylum. You're the attorney here. How does this new law actually affect those going through a point of entry legally?
So the truth is that it's something that's been always turned a blind eye to. Within the application itself, it asks if you've applied for asylum anywhere else besides just the United States. And most people answer that question in the negative. And most judges, most asylum officers just turned a blind eye to it and let it go. It'll be interesting to see if moving forward, if they start, implementing that rule that they want people applying for asylum somewhere else first, so that if something does happen, they can go ahead and be removed to another country, not necessarily the country they have a fear of returning to.
Well, it's interesting because this points out, if Mexico is the first, kind of the gateway that's been coming to the United States that most of this line has been going through, won't Mexico just see what's going on and just deny everyone? So then there kind of throws that whole idea out the window for the United States.
They may not. I don't know the Mexican asylum process, but I do have clients that have received asylum in Mexico, and I know that their process is not that tedious and it's not that difficult to get it done. They do give it away fairly easily for people that are looking for asylum in Mexico. So it won't be that difficult for them to achieve that. and then they can make their way over here and try to apply for asylum again.
Well, and that's the thing, and I understand we're trying to make this an easier process and everybody to do it legally rather than illegally, which is where a lot of, unfortunately, the issues are going on within the borders, not through these ports of entry. Do you think the announcement today of this asylum law actually encourages people to do it the right way and seek asylum through ports of entry, or does this just push more people to try to enter illegally through the country and hope that they get through?
The latter. I don't think this is going to change anything as far as illegal immigration goes because we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the staff, we don't have the resources for this many people to try to do it legally. And if we had that, if those stations were set up in those countries and within Mexico for people to start applying for asylum before they get to the U.S., I think it would, curb a lot of the illegal immigration we have coming into the United States right now. And we could set up potentially camps, refugee camps, like what we've done in the Middle East before, for people to apply there and then get to the U.S., but they haven't done that yet.
And that's exactly, I think, where a lot of people would like to see a lot of the manpower and tax dollars be used, because you could actually produce results with it. Thank you so much for joining us on having this conversation.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.